All right. Time for another fantastic Revit tip. And this time it came up this week. Okay. I'm bringing you stuff that is live, that happens to me, happens to some of my clients, and you get to benefit because I'm just bringing out what I find. Okay. One of the people I'm working with was doing a signage plan. Okay. And they were placing signage in on their walls, and some of the signs were on the wall below the cut plane. Well, maybe none of them were, because the cut plane in Revit is typically at 4 feet above the floor. You guys know this, right? Your eyes are about 7'6", and you're looking downward in plan. And the cut plane is at 4 feet. So you cut through most doors and windows, you're above most countertops, and you're below signage. Okay. And yet my client wanted to see the signage in plan so that they could make a signage plan and tag the signage, and whether it was a wall-mounted sign or whether it was a ceiling-mounted sign or even a floor-mounted sign, anything that was above the cut plane turned off, because we put all of the signage into the category of signage, which it makes sense. But when you do that, friends, you can only see any signage that's below 4 feet, because that's the cut plane. Everything above it disappeared. So how do you work with that? So I did some research and I dealt with this, and I'm gonna, so that you don't have to do all the research, I will show you what I came up with. All right, let me stop chit-chatting and get to Revit and show you myself. All right, share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Okay, wait, there it is. There's my fantastic screen that you wanted to see. All right, I'm just kidding. You want to see this Revit tip. So here we go. I'm going to the plan view of my building. And this again is my building. I'll go to the 3D view. Let me see if I can find it. 3D view, 3D view. Wait, there it is. The typical little building that I've been using for a long time. But I am going to go to the plan view of this, and I will explain how this works. In fact, I'm going to go to the second floor plan because that makes more sense, because this room is a little more open, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm going to move the cut plane down this section, and we're going to look at this. Let me just explain to you what I did. Okay, I'm going to move this word office out of the way, and because it's on the second floor, let's build an object and toss it right here on the floor. Let's just do it, okay? And I'm going to show you how this works. Watch this. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to New, Family. Wait for it. I'm going to scroll down to Generic Model. Let's just make a generic model. I'm going to hit Open, and this is opening the template for a generic model. When it opens, there it is. We are looking top down on an object that we're about to make, okay? Let's just keep it simple, okay? I'm going to make an extrusion. Extrusion, I click on extrusion, and let me see what I got here. Let me just make a box. Ta-da! There's a box, beautiful box. But I can never do anything simple, simplified. I seem to always make things complicated. Okay, let me just make this so that you know this object there. That's pretty obvious. And let's get rid of that. There we go. Do you see that? Now, when I say extrude, okay, now if I go to like the 3D view in this, see what we got? We've got this object, and I'm going to load it into my project and close it. Do I want to save it? No, no, no. This is for an example only. Quit asking me those silly questions. Okay. And I'm going to place this family. Whoa, it fills the entire office. Boom, on the floor. All right. And so it's sitting there on the floor, and I might have to get rid of see the chair sitting there? I am going to move that chair off to the side, and I'm going to rotate it. So if any of you want to just sit down and watch the show here, you can, okay? There we go. There's our object. Okay. You see that guy right there sitting on the floor? All right. Now, you can see it. And I'm going to go to my section, and there it is on the floor of the second floor, okay? And you can't see the furniture because it's turned off in this view, but I could turn it on, but no, okay? So back and forth, look, plan, there it is sitting on the floor, and this object in section is sitting on the floor, okay? So wait for it. I am going to move it up to 5 feet off of the floor. And so wait, just so that you know, I'm not messing with you. I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to make a detail line, and I'm going to put in a big honking 3-hour. Look at that. Look at that line. Whoa. Okay. That is, I'm going to put a dimension on it. 4'1". Man, I almost nailed it. Come on. Okay. 4 feet. There it is. That's the 4-foot line. That's where the cut plane is. So we're cutting through all these objects, walls, doors, windows. We're above railings, and we're above this object, right? This little family that we made, this generic. And if I go to plan view, that's why you can see it, because it's down there. Okay, in my section, I'll turn on. I'm going to go to VG. Actually, I'm going to set this views template to not control it, and I'm going to say VG, and I'm going to turn on furniture so that you can see it in my section. There it is. See that? See that section? Now, let me just show you something. This is my object. This is my furniture. If I take this desk and lift it off of the floor up here, let me just go move my face out of the way. It's on 0 inches. That desk is 0 inches from from the second floor, right? And if I copy it, look at this. I'm going to copy it up, turn off constraints. I'm going to copy it up in the air. Hey, it's not letting me copy it. All right. Let's just, can't believe I wasted your time on that. Let me just move the object. See this object right here? I'm highlighting this object, okay? And I'm going to look over here. It says it's 0 inches off of the second floor. All right, you guys with me? So I'm going to move it up 2 feet. Boom, you see it move? Okay, you guys with me? It moved. And so it's still below the cut plane. We should be able to see it. Yes, we still see it. Okay, I'm going to move it now so that it is to 3 foot. Okay, and of course, we're going to still see it. Yep, still there. So let's just get bold. I'm moving it up to 5 feet. It is above the cut plane. You should not be able to see it, but it's still there. Generic objects that are in your plan will still show up if they're above the cut plane. Okay? And you know what I did? You want to change categories of objects. Watch this. I'm going to check this, click this object. I'm going to hit Edit Family right there. There's a button for Edit Family. And after you make an object in Revit, and there it is, that's a beautiful little object we made, you can change it after you make it, like, let's just say you build this thing as a generic object. You can turn this thing into a piece of furniture. You can turn it into a lighting fixture. You can turn it doesn't care. Revit doesn't care what category you switch it to. And I'm going to show you how to switch it here in a second. But there are only, I don't want to give away the spoiler. Let me just change it to a piece of furniture. I'm going to click it. Now, here's how you change the category. After you build something, you put it in the correct category that it exists in. So I'm going to click on it, wait for it. And over here in the top left, there is a tool that has a little folder next to it, okay? That is That's what they use for representing the category of the family. Okay, so if I click that, I get the list of categories. Here's the whole list of categories. And you'll notice the one that's highlighted is generic models. That's what it is. But this is where you can switch it to be something else. I'm going to switch it to be a piece of furniture. Sounds like a good idea. Just for right now, I'm going to say, okay. So it doesn't look any differently, but inside it, it is now switched over to being a furniture family so that it goes on and off with furniture in the project. So I'm going to hit load into project and close, and I'm not going to save it because who cares? And now, wait for it, I'm going to hit overwrite. Boom. That piece of furniture disappeared because it's above the cut plane. But I'm going to go to my section. Sure enough, there it is. Piece of furniture is showing up in my section because I can see it, but it's above the cut plane. So I'm not going to be able to see it, right? So if I brought it back down, let me just work with me here. I'm going to bring it back down to like 3 feet. Boom. Or 2'6", whatever. Just so 2'6". There. It's clearly below the cut plane. So if I go back to plan, it shows up. Okay. So basically, furniture turns off when it gets above the cut plane. Okay. And I was trying, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go back to my section and I'm going to move it back up to 5 feet again. Doesn't matter how far above the cut plane you put it. Maybe it does. What if I put it at 100 feet? I've never tried that. Oh, but I'm not going to do it right now because I just want to show you how this works. Okay. This object is furniture and it disappears when it goes above the cut plane. And I'm about to give you the spoiler of which categories will still represent themselves even above the cut plane. Wait for it, because here we go. I'm going to hit Edit Family. I just want to tell you guys what I found out. If I go back to this button up here, the one with the folder, and look at it, I did this, guys. I clicked on this object or a similar one, and I made it audio visual. It turned off. There's a lot of categories here. Wait, no spoilers. I switched it to casework, and then I loaded it. And then I switched it to a column, and I loaded it. And I switched it to doors, and I loaded it. And I did every single one. Electrical, equipment and fixtures and entourage. This part gets boring, so you can speed ahead. Fire protection. I switched it to food service equipment and furniture systems and generic models. I switched it to hardscape and lighting fixtures and masses. Actually, you can't switch it to a mass. For some reason, the program disallows you to switch a generic model over to a mass. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, and I switched it to mechanical control devices. I switched it to mechanical equipment and medical equipment and parking and planting and plumbing fixtures. So, I mean, the plumbing equipment and plumbing fixtures, and I turned it into a railing. I turned it into a road, signage, site. I changed the category to specialty equipment and structural columns and connections and foundations and framing and stiffeners and temporary structures and vertical circulation and windows. Those were all of the architecture filter list. Every single one I switched it. And guess what? There are three, count them, 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 of these categories that will actually turn on and show in your floor plan, even if the object is above the cut plane, okay? So to save you all of that research, I will tell you what they are, okay? Number 1, you already know it, generic models. Generic models lifted above the cut plane will still represent themselves, okay? So when I switched this family to signage, which is on the list, I couldn't see them. They were above the cut plane. So I had to switch the family back to generic model, and then we could see the signs. The ceiling mounted signs, the wall mounted signs, every single sign was represented then in plan perfectly for the team that wanted to make a signage plan and to tag all the signs. Okay, So I had to switch it to generic models. But there's two other categories that do show up even if the object is above the cut plane. Wait for it. Here goes the spoiler. This is it. You're about to find out. Number 2 is casework. What? Yes, casework shows up above the cut plane because sometimes you have wall-mounted cabinets. So in the program, they have casework is available. So if you switch to the casework category and lift it above the cut plane, it will show up. And lastly, the third and last one, the only 3, is all the way at the bottom of the list, windows. So if you switch this object, even though it's just a bunch of boxes, if I told it that it was a window, it's still visible above in the plan, even though the cut plane's at 4 feet, even if it's up there above. So I'm going to do it right now just to prove it. Windows. I'm going to say, okay. So I switched it to Windows, load into the project. Don't worry about saving it. And wait for it, overwrite it. And it, of course, is in my section. And when I go to the plan, there it is. It's still visible. So Windows, casework, and generic models. So if you have an object category that has to go above the cut plane, you're not going to see it. Some part of the family has to be down and cut in order for that object to show up. And what I've done in the past, and I still think it's the only way you can do it, is this. Watch this. If you have to keep the object in a different category, let's say a lighting fixture, you want it to be in the lighting fixture category. Okay, let's just go there. I'm going to click on this object. I'm going to hit Edit Family. Work with me. We're almost done. We're almost done. I'm going to switch the category to lighting fixture. Here we go. Lighting fixture. I'm going to say OK. And when I load it back into the project and close it, don't save it. Just put it back in. Okay. Overwrite. Bam. It's gone. It's gone. That lighting fixture is above the cut plane. Okay. See, there it is. And when I highlight it, you can just look over and it says right below the picture of it, lighting fixture, okay? But if you absolutely need a family to show up, regardless of what category you place it in, you need it to show up in the plan view, even though it's above the cut plane. There's a trick, and some of you already know it, but I'm going to tell the rest of you that don't know it yet. Okay, here we go. I'm going to say Edit Family. This is the last thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to let you go. Okay, you go to, say, the front view of it, okay? And so here it is, the front view, okay? We need to put a line from the object down to the cut plane. So if I'm going to place this thing at 6 feet, I need a 2-foot line at minimum. If I'm going to place it at 8 feet, then I need to have a 4-foot line below it. Doesn't matter how long the line is, it needs to reach down to the cut plane so that an object, a line, can be cut. You guys with me? And I found that if I put a model line in, let me just do it. I'm going to put a model line in, okay? And I'm going to switch the category of the line to be invisible, okay? An invisible line. That makes sense. So I can click on this. I'm just going to click right there, and I'm going to draw a line down, I don't know, 8 feet long, okay? This 8-foot line down, okay? Because I want this object to be able to be visible when it's above the cut plane. Wait for it. I'm going to now load it into the project and close it. Don't save it because I don't care, okay? Overwrite the existing version. Okay. You see now, you can't see it because it's an invisible line, but when I hover over the family, the line is indeed visible down, okay? It's an invisible line, but it crosses the cut plane. So in theory, if I go to the second floor plan, I should be able to see this family, even though it is wait for it, a lighting fixture well above the cut plane. Here we go. The moment of truth, plan view, boom, there she is. Okay. I'm glad that was there because then I didn't have to redo this whole video and try to figure out what I did wrong. All right, my friends. I hope that helped somebody. If for some reason you need to put an object above the cut plane and still have it visible in plan view, it needs to be a casework, generic family, generic model, or a window family. And if it has to be, and you need to keep it cleanly in other categories so it can go on and off correctly, then you need to put I put a model line in it down. And I believe I did a test that had an invisible, a symbolic line, and I remember that working. But let's just stick with model lines, but the subcategory is invisible lines. That way it disappears. All right. Again, I hope this helped somebody out there because it had me for a little bit until we figured out that there's only 3 categories that show up above the cut plane without a model line. All right, that's enough. And so you guys have a fantastic day. And until we meet again, happy Reviting. All right, see you later.